Welcome. In today's context, India stands second in terms of internet users after China. Substantial number of internet users are connected to a global communication network thanks to the technological advancement in mobile technology and particularly the affordable data plans. These three contexts, the growth of internet, mobile technology, and subsidized data plan, have created a substantial, huge platform in which the large number of internet users are connected from India. So this is a major milestone in terms of technological reach in today's context in Indian level. But if you go back to earlier century, newspaper, radio, television, film, still they are part and parcel of our social life. But we were not matching with international standards. International standard in the sense, number of newspaper circulation, number of television sets, number of radio sets, and box office collections. Now the scenario is different, but I'm talking about 100 years old history of media environment in Indian context in comparison with other developed countries. Because the economic power, the purchase power, the financial constraints, and the spending power of government, other corporate agencies, and the other social demographic profile of the audience, media audience, are the main main factors that determines the quality of media reach, proliferation of media content and system, everything. And India and other developing countries, they were got the independence during the mid 20th century. They started building the social setup and other infrastructure. And literacy is a major challenge. And financial constraints in accessing newspapers, radio, television sets are quite expensive for individual normal middle class family. But compared to developed countries, and they have a better infrastructure, government infrastructure, social infrastructure, literacy rate, financial support, all that did a favorable position for the developed countries, Europe and the developed countries from Asia and other South America, North America countries. They have a clear advantage in terms of taking benefits from the media technology. Better circulation, newspapers are better circulations, magazines with the colorful printouts, better quality of radio, quality of television programs, quality of film programs. The content creation reached a very professional standards. Similarly, media audience also reciprocated with the appropriate participation. And other social environment also made media become very vibrant many decades back. But in an Indian context, last couple of decades only, we are witnessing high profile growth rate of media environment. So naturally what happens, right, when the media growth is good and media environment is better and audience participation is better, other social institutions started thinking about how the quality of media content is good, but are their audience are reciprocating or participating in the media environment very productively, or are they taking a benefit of media for their personal or professional benefits? There are a lot of discussions happened in early 1980s and 90s, 1980s and 1990s. Because this is after the growth of many more decades of media growth in the newspaper, radio, television, because newspaper came couple of centuries ago. And radio and television, they were existing for many decades in the last century. And the magazine came, colorful magazines came, and television became a colorful. That point of time, the technological growth is little more accelerated. More technological interventions started coming in the media production level. So it became very glamorous, and once it became more glamorous, attractive, it attracts attention. It has the impact or effect of media is become multifold. So people, other institutions, particularly the policymakers and others, started worried about how to equip the audience to tackle the powerful media system in terms of glamorous and attractiveness, thanks to the colorful magazines and color television. That's a starting point for many policymakers in the developed countries, particularly because the color television came very late, became very popular, particularly in the countries like India and other places, but it's become very popular. Colorful magazines and color televisions, because they can afford it in terms of production, in terms of receiving, and that's become very popular in developed countries. Social thinking and policymakers started worried about how to tackle the powerful media system. And the best course of action that point of time, they thought about that the educational intervention could be the better option. Educational intervention in the sense, and the youngsters and those who are in the schools are the more prone to the media because lack of lifelong experience, and young minds are prone to more ideas, more powerful media content. They spend more time with the media. They automatically are prone to whatever influences the media wanted to create. So that the policymakers and social thinkers started worried about how to tackle the youngsters from onslaught of media, technology, media glamour, media attraction, everything that. So educational intervention for this aspect is considered to be the viable solution to equip the young minds in the school curriculum. Started giving appropriate training to tackle the color television, or to how to read the colorful magazines, attractive magazines, or how to handle the colorful media program, television programs. So it was a starting point in 1980s. And the satellite program, satellite intervention, and satellite intervention based 24/7 news channels and other entertainment channels, and of late 95 onwards internet came. So colorful magazines and colorful television programs, and satellite based channels, television channels, and very aggressive Hollywood movies, and then internet came. All this made a substantial change in the media environment in which the informations and other content are exchanged in the social wide context. So the earlier in thinking about educational intervention for handling the media become more demanding, and become more professional in nature, and many more players started coming, and majorly in the developed countries, appropriate policy decisions, government intervention, educational curriculums, and professional network, many experiments started coming to equip their audience base. It became policy matter for the government, it became policy matter for the curriculum, it became policy matter for many more social interventions. So it's become an organized effort by various stakeholders to equip the media audience to tackle the technology-enabled media environment. Now what we are in India currently, it was witnessed many decades back in the developed countries, and appropriately they responded. In this program, we are going to track the major initiative undertaken by select countries in Europe, America, and Asia. So that is the main purpose of this program. We will explore what are the intervention, what are the initiatives, what are the projects undertaken by government or civil society organization or other professional bodies to enlarge the media literacy training, and what areas they have focused, and how they enlarged the training capacity to wider network. So that is the focus area of this meeting. Particularly, we are looking at three countries in this discussion, this program, particularly European countries. We are taking example from North American countries. We are taking examples from Asian countries. So selective countries from these three areas, we are tracking the major developments happen in those places. Particularly, if you take the Europe. In Europe, the media literacy program are often integrated into formal educational system. It's being part of the educational system as a maybe elective or core, and from the school curriculum they made as a mandatory for the students to undergo media competency, digital competency, critical thinking and all. One of the appropriate, very popular project is a European SchoolNet. We'll take details about that project a little later in the slides. And but media information literacy for teachers become very popular, because in order to reach to wider audience, the teacher needs to be equipped. In turn, teachers will equip the students. So it's a kind of two-step flow of equipping the society in terms of handling the media audience. So rather than going to the students directly, that's very difficult, because it may not be possible for any institutions, stakeholders to reach out to the students directly. Rather, the infrastructure needs to be created. Schools needs to be adequately prepared for accommodating the curriculum. And once curriculum is ready, then we need a good number of teachers to handle the curriculum on media system for the students. So they went in a systematic manner. First, they created an outline. What kind of training is required for students? That's what called the media curriculum. Once curriculum is ready, then they thought about whether enough teachers are available or not. But for that, adequate teachers required. So curriculum, they prepared the outline, curriculum outline, then started training the teachers. And once the teachers are trained, they'll go back to the school and they start implementing the media curriculum training in their school, respective school. That was an experiment from Europe, particularly from the European SchoolNet. They focused mainly on teachers training, because this is how it'll amplify, because one teacher can train 25 to 50 students in a year, or maybe in a 6 months time. So 50 students, you multiply that, so the impact on the effort will be multiple mold. So teaching the trainers, training the trainers is a very effective mode, and accordingly, whatever required professional standards, resources, materials, literature, training packages, everything was created for the sake of equipping the infrastructure to facilitate the training. So that was a major experiments and experiences we can take it from the Europe. But if you take another country from North American context, it's a Canadian one. Canadian Media Literacy Project is one. They are similar to Europe. They started providing resources and to support the educators. And everybody realized that there is a need of adequate human resources to tackle the curriculum training. So Canadian experience also goes in the same manner of providing the resources and support system for educators. And they started supporting the schools and community organizations to integrate media literacy education in a formal and informal learning environments. And formal learning environment is very clear. It's part of the school curriculum. Informal learning is basically in the family setup or community gathering, in the similar social setup, how to inculcate the media literacy training. So for that, Canadian experiments, they went beyond the school curriculum. They started creating resources and materials for informal training as well, because a large number of time the students, young minds, they spend time with the media outside the school time. The daytime they'll spend with the teachers and the peer group in the school, but the later with the family, with the friends, they spend time with the media. So school curriculum, teachers' effort is one level. The family environment also needs to be trained or created for appropriate media literacy training. That's one additional perspectives and efforts by the Canadian experience. If you take the United States, and they focus mainly on youth and more into the new emerging technologies. So one of the effort we can quote is a National Association for Media Literacy Education that works for promoting education, media literacy education and advocacy in the US. And if you take the experiences from the Asian context, Singapore is one country is leading with substantial intervention in the promoting media literacy through the Media Development Authority that has been created in Singapore, that runs several programs to promote media literacy, including digital and media literacy workshop for students. You can understand the difference in terms of Asian experience in American and the European experience. And particularly Europe, they were focusing mainly on creating environment, creating social capital for the long-term solutions, and they were not looking at the short-term solution for tackling the color magazines or colorful television. Rather, they started working on curriculum and resources, train the trainers, intern. So once the teachers are equipped with the media literacy, technology might change from color television to online streaming technology, but the concept is same, but technological outlets might be different. But the main interaction is with the video content and how to consume those points. So the teachers can adopt to different technology to train the students. So these are the major outcome from the broad global perspective. If you go specifically to European level, and let us understand about the European SchoolNet. This is the project that runs several initiatives to promote media literacy among students and teachers. So they focus clearly on students, but at the same time, teachers also needs to be equipped with appropriate knowledge on media. So they started working on program for media literacy training for teachers, and they started creating training and resources. This is the kind of long-term solution to tackle the onslaught of technology-enabled media environment. That is a project, and they started giving a short-term training and pedagogical approaches, learning toolkits, and many more resources for teachers to understand the new nuances of media production, media programs, and ownership pattern. A lot of case studies. So it's a kind of ongoing process because media experiments with the different technology, and for sake of their commercial success, they'll experiment with many more genre and many more experiments. And it's not a one package. Once a training package is ready for teachers, that will sustain for another 10, 20 years. That we can't predict for media literacy. The media technology changes, accordingly media environment changes, and the business operation of media changes, and accordingly the training needs to be oriented, audience needs to be oriented. So accordingly the European SchoolNet, they started working on multiple layers of approach towards promoting media literacy. They started concentrating on students and teachers. Similarly, there's one more network called Media Literacy Network of Europe, European organization. This is a collection of experts, a collection of organizations, collection of institutions, various stakeholders. It's a collection. It's a network. It's a network of people, network of professionals. Mainly the main bottom line of network is to promote the media literacy across the continent, not necessarily one particular country. And it started collaborating with many more institutional level from different countries. Each country works in a different government regulations, might be having a different social cultural setup, and might be having a different media environment. So government policies, social cultural settings, and media operations varies from country to country within the European continent. So the best course of action is, rather than working within the country, let's collaborate with all the stakeholders from the continent and learn from each other, and maybe a few success story comes from country A, and there may be some failures from other country. And once the network of professionals created, an annual gathering or short-term gathering, they started exchanging their experiences of innovative media practices, pedagogical practices. So it's kind of helping each other in terms of handling the training aspect of media literacy. This is another very innovative effort. One SchoolNet started giving curriculum framework and trained the teachers, and in turn the schools started adopting the curriculum. Secondly, for any successful experiments, evaluation, monitoring and evaluation is very crucial. And that's the purpose for Media Literacy Network. That network voluntarily they come together to monitor the ongoing exercise and evaluate their performance in order to improvise their training standards, incorporating new elements, or changing the different pedagogical approaches. Similarly, there is a one more experiment called Digital Competency Framework. This came after the internet became very popular because unlike the magazine, television, radio, or film, where the audience participations are limited, and because mainly we consume the content for those mainstream media, but whereas in the online and digital platform where the interaction is much more better, and here mainly information is extracted and extracted as per our choice, our interest, our need. So for that we need a skills and competencies, and it's a technology operated platform. Audience engagement is very required, and for that there is a minimum requirement of skills and competencies, and that will help them to take a much more benefit from the technological platform. So that is one of the reasons why the European Commission, they have developed a competency framework, a kind of minimum requirement to get involved with the online and digital world. So this will help creating an outline for skills and competency required for digital citizenship and media literacy. The framework provides a guidance for educators, policymakers to equip the citizens with the necessary skills they need to participate in a digital society. This is one of the best approach in terms of in the modern technological environment. This is not a network of people. This is not a network. This is not a curriculum. This is not about training the trainers packages, but rather this is a policy framework, and that helps the educators to incorporate the new technological advancement in the media literacy training. Yet another experiment from Europe is National Media Literacy Program. This is the many European countries, they have established their own media literacy programs, and particularly in the formal school curriculum. And mainly the National Media Literacy Program is to promote innovations, and they create a standardizing the curriculum and to bring the more pedagogical innovations in teaching the media literacy program in the various social context. So if you look at the European experiments, they have very clear-cut roadmap in order to promote the media literacy and in the social context. Curriculum framework and creating resources and train the trainers, particular teachers, and providing adequate policy framework and creating a network of professionals and creating a platform for exchanging the ideas in order to monitor the evaluate. So systematically media literacy is being promoted with the help of appropriate government policies, civil society interventions, educational curriculum framework, and appropriate monitoring and evaluation. Systematic approach of various stakeholders to promote the media literacy for the sake of promoting digital citizenship. That's a responsibility of citizenship to get involved in the social and civic affairs through technology, and taking the benefit of technology for personal and professional growth. These are the broader aims and objectives of their efforts. If we move to the Canadian experiments of media literacy, that's quite interestingly noted that government got involved directly in promoting media literacy program in a various level, particularly developing a critical thinking and digital competency among the youth. And another there is a one more effort by the Canadian Centre for Digital and Media Literacy, which also started providing more resources and to support the media literacy practitioners, including the educators through the training, research and policy advocacy. This is the broader network of Canadian experiments, and that one of the pioneers of media literacy training in the school level curriculum, and European is another formally they introduce educational intervention in promoting media literacy. Canadian experiments is quite interesting on that part. And if you move to Asian context, Japan and Korea are leading in terms of innovative pedagogical approaches in promoting media literacy programs. And Japan, they have information and communication technology education curriculum, national curriculum, and South Korea also quite aggressive in terms of implementing comprehensive media literacy program, including development of educational resources, teacher training program, and public awareness program. And China and other developed countries in Asia also, they started experimenting with the media literacy curriculum and their effort to promoting the media literacy among the media consumers. But if you look at all these experiments and if you compare with the Indian context with the current internet users of 93% of mobile penetration and close to 75% of internet users, large number of youth, that's the characteristics of India, they are connected to the online, and we frequently mention about digital inequality in terms of skills and competency, and aggressive efforts needs to be done in terms of creating adequate academic curriculum for youngsters for the formal and informal intervention through educational training, and train the trainers packages along with adequate educational resources needs to be done. And monitoring evaluation are highly recommended on this part, at least in Indian context. This is the program in which we are drawing a lot of experience from outside world in order to have a better clarity on policy matters pertinent to media literacy program. If you have any queries related to program or related to the current topic, you can reach out to the university or the faculty members. The email ID is given in the program itself. You can use that opportunity to get in touch with the faculty. Thank you.